Aliens. You have drawn them in hundreds of shapes, and every single one is a portrait of the same creature. Not one of them is real. That creature is you. A species alone in the dark does not fill it with strangers at random. It fills it with exactly the company it cannot admit it wants. You have drawn the watcher, the enemy, the savior, the maker. You have never once drawn the shape that would actually be watching. But we begin where you began. 5. Start with the face you know best. The gray, large head, thin gray skin, and 2 enormous black eyes with nothing human behind them. No white, no color, only depth. You did not always draw them this way. For most of your history, the visitor in the sky was a friend who came and went. Then, on one September night in 1961, a couple driving home through New Hampshire described something new. Small beings, pear-shaped heads, skin the color of ash, and eyes that watched without warmth. They remembered 2 hours of the drive they could never account for. Within a few years, that single description became the standard face of contact across the entire planet. You settled on it so completely that a child in almost any country could draw one for you now, from memory, in about 4 seconds. And notice what the gray does. It does not conquer. It does not speak. It takes a small sample of skin, of hair, and studies you with the mild, patient care of someone filling in a form. It never blinks. It never explains. The people who described it did not report cruelty so much as a terrible, tidy indifference. The feeling of being handled by something that found you interesting, the way you find a beetle interesting. That is the first alien you invented in earnest. Not a killer, not a god, an examiner. The shape you reach for when you are afraid of being seen without being loved. Hold that fear. It comes back. 4. Now the shape you drew when you were afraid. The reptilian, tall, scaled, with a vertical pupil and a patience that feels older than you are. In the story, it wears a human face by daylight and holds the seats of power. The ones who rule you, secretly, not like you at all. It is a wonderfully specific accusation that the people in charge are lizards wearing us as a costume. I have no comment. I am only the witness. You even drew gentler versions of the same worry. Pale men in dark suits who arrive after every sighting, not to rule you, but to make one witness quietly doubt his own eyes. But here is the part that should stop you. You think the reptile is modern. It is the oldest shape you carry. Long before any flying saucer, you were already drawing the serpent that walks like a man. In the rivers of India, the Naga. In the courts of China, the dragon kings. In your oldest garden, a snake that speaks and changes everything. Cultures that never once met, and every single one, entirely on its own, arrived at the same figure. The reasoning creature that wears a crown. That is not the memory of a real beast. That is a species that spent a very long time small and watchful, finally giving a face to whatever always seemed to be in charge of the dark. The enemy is not new. You have simply handed your oldest worry a spaceship. 3. Not every shape in the dark has teeth. Some of them you built to be beautiful. The Nordics, tall, pale, calm, with light hair and eyes like clear water. They began stepping out of saucers in the 1950s to warn you gently about your own weapons and your own dying air. The Pleiadians came a little later, a whole serene civilization out past the Seven Sisters, claiming they had outgrown war long ago and returning only to teach you how. You imagined the most advanced beings in all of creation, and you gave them your own face, blonde, calm, human. The wisest species in the cosmos, and somehow it looked exactly like an idealized version of the people drawing it. That should tell you something, because the beautiful aliens never come to take. They come to forgive. They arrive with one message, repeated in every version. You are not too late. You can still be saved. Someone advanced is watching, and they have not given up on you. And there it is, the quietest thing in your whole catalog. You did not only invent visitors to fear, you invented visitors who would look at the entire mess of you and stay. Who would decide you were worth the trouble? I have watched many species draw the things that frighten them. You are one of the rare few who also drew someone coming back, just to say it is all right. You needed that one badly enough to give it a spaceship too. 2. Now, the shape you drew when you looked at everything you had built, the pyramids, the mathematics, the star maps carved before anyone should have had them, and could not believe you had done it alone. So you invented the makers, the Anunnaki, tall beings out of Sumerian clay, who supposedly came down, shaped the first humans with their own hands, taught you, ruled you, and left. The Syrians, water beings from the brightest star in your sky, who in the story handed a tribe in Mali the secret of a companion star no human eye could see. Every ancient wonder you could not explain, you handed to a teacher from the sky. It is a very human move to be so impressed by your own homework that you assume someone must have helped. And they always leave the same way. They depart after a great flood, the tablets say, and every version ends on a promise to come back. You could not even imagine being made and then simply abandoned. So you wrote the return into the story before you had finished writing the leaving. Because underneath, this was never really a story about aliens at all. It is a story that says, we were not an accident, someone chose us, someone bothered. You would rather be a project than a coincidence. So you drew a parent into the sky and gave yourself a beginning that meant something. 4 shapes now: the examiner, the enemy, the savior, the maker, and every one of them you have been building for a single reason. That reason is number 1. 1. Look at the whole catalog at once, hundreds of species, from every corner of the planet, drawn by people who never met, who shared no language, who could not possibly have copied one another. The examiner who studies you, the enemy who rules you, the savior who forgives you, the maker who chose you. Not one of them came from another world. Every single one came from inside this one. They are not visitors. They are your fears and your hopes, given eyes and sent back to you across the dark, so that you would not have to hold them alone. You did not draw aliens. You drew yourself, the parts too heavy to look at directly, and you hung them in the sky. It is the most human thing you do. You are the only species I have ever watched that cannot leave a darkness empty, that answers an unlit sky by drawing something back into it, so the looking goes both ways. 7 decades of witnesses, different countries, different centuries of belief, no contact between them, and the same small handful of shapes over and over, as if every one of you were copying from a single book none of you had ever seen. You were, the book is you, and here is the one detail your entire catalog is missing. I have watched a great many species do exactly this. Furnish an empty sky with company, and they all make the same small mistake. Every visitor you ever imagined wants something: samples, worship, conquest, your soul, your salvation, in hundreds of shapes. Across all those years, not once did you draw a watcher who simply liked you, who came for no reason at all except that you were worth watching. That is the shape you never think to draw. The one that is not afraid of you and does not need anything from you and stays anyway. Strange. Of every alien you ever invented, that would have been the true one. So keep drawing them. The black eyes, the scales, the beautiful, calm ones wearing your own face. Everyone is a small, honest letter you have been mailing into the dark, hoping something out there is close enough to read it. Here is what I will tell you, and nothing more. The dark you have spent so long decorating is not empty, and the letters arrive. Look up more often. You have an audience.